My guy Skyzoo, who's also in my top 10 MCs currently right now in hip hop of 2021. So far, Skyzoo just dropped his brand new album, All the Brilliant Things. And Skyzoo has been like shooting from three like Steph, effervescently. He can't miss. Every album that Sky has came out with over the last 2 years has been solid, has been very extremely dope. Now, does this brand new album live up to the expectations like his other one did? We gonna talk about it, and I'm not gonna hold you. This album is crazy. This album is dope. It's one of the best so far of 2021. Let's break it down and get into the specifics. It's AP. What's up, man? On the spot. Let's go. Good morning, how you doing? All the Brilliant Things. Here we go. Track number 1 is called Free Jewelry, and it's basically talking about, lessons and jewels. And if for all of y'all out there that don't know what jewels is, jewels is basically game knowledge that you obtain from past situations. Or if I'm dropping jewels to you, I'm telling you something very informative and knowledge, something that's knowledgeable. Track 2 is St. James Liquors, and it's a retrospective kind of track. Sky is talking about referring to St. James Place in Brooklyn, New York, which is a street and neighborhood in BK. Track number 3 is Tour the Neighborhood, featuring my man Al Scratch. Creep with me through my neighborhood. You remember Al Scratch from Illinois Scratch. 3, Tour the Neighborhood. Nice piano loop. It has like a jazzy feel kind of to it. And that's one of the things that you'll notice on this album and mostly all of Skyzoo's albums, especially, his last couple albums, is that he's heavily jazz influenced because his sound with the kind of beats that he rhymes over always has like a jazzy kind of overtone to it, or some kind of saxophone or flute or some kind of instrumentation into it. So that's kind of like the undertones sound of this album, which I like because I'm heavily into jazz myself. Tour the Neighborhood is a retrospective track talking about his neighborhood. Track 4 is Rich Rhetoric. Then we get into number 5, which is Bodega Flowers. And that features BJ the Chicago Kid. And on Bodega Flowers, basically it talks about the appreciation of people while they're still alive. Of course, we all hear this cliche, giving people their flowers, their respect, their love while they're alive and not when they're dead. Because when they're dead, they can't, physically be here to see it and appreciate it. And number 6, now this is where the album starts to get into its pocket. And what I mean by that is the album starts to heat up and flame up. Something to Believe In is 6, featuring Raheem Devon. He freaked, basically, the producer on this track, freaked the Roy Ayers sample, Sunshine. I mean, we all remember that, My Life, My Life, My Life, the same sample that Mary J. Blige did. But this sample from Roy Ayers had been freaked and remixed in a totally different way from other previously released versions that other artists did that I've never heard of before. I love how they freaked and remixed this sample, because that same sample can get tiresome after a while because we've heard it a million times. But the producer on this track really did his just due and freaked the sample real well. This is like one of my favorite tracks on the album. And one of the quotes that stood out was when Skyzoo said, "Me in a drop Jeep, the sweetest of box seats, the speakers is knocked down, the diva is knock kneed, cause for a parade, Commodores ablaze, crowd singing comfortably, harmonies and waves, part of me is Mos Def, part of me is Mace, so my jewelry be on, but my aura Rika Sage." I like that one. Track 7, Humble Bag, being in your bag, being on your daily, when you just humble. It's a dope track. The beat is reminiscent of a mid-90s sound, like a 94-ish, 95, 93-ish, between mid-90s kind of sound. So I like that. Track 8 is another flaming track that I love. I was supposed to be a trap rapper. I thought it was very dope. Sky's talking about how, he should have been the type of MC that rhymed exclusively about hustling and the streets. But he was more influenced by backpack rap and knowledge. When you hear backpack rap, we all know what backpack rap is. Rappers that, who once gained fame from talking about abstract kind of things versus, they basically strayed away from talking about money, jewels, clothes, women, things of that nature. So Sky said he should have been influenced by the streets because of how he grew up, but he switched it up and went to the other side of rap and started talking about more influential things. The price tag of what it took of me to get to me, the nerve of me trying to flood Fulton streets with Dilla beats, and bet I did all the above to a soliloquy, made trappers go nuts to donuts, The makings of a sacrificial lamb with the backings of a band. Number 9, another heater I liked on this one, Plugs and Connections, extremely dope. The lyrics flow over this piano, keyboard laced instrumental track. This is also one of my favorite songs on the album, Plugs and Connections, very dope. Number 10 is this, like I said, the album hits this pocket where he goes back to back to back to back with bangers. Track 10 is The Scrimmage. Lyrics float over this track with a nice little female soft voice in the background. The song is about knowing your limits and doing what's right versus wrong. So this one is right here that it's a song I can relate to. Scrimmage is dope. I love it. Number 11 is Culture-ish. It has a jazzy feel to it, keeping with the jazzy feel kind of tone and theme of the album, the sound. 12 is Bed-Stuy is Burning. This track basically talks about gentrification. It's a nice song. Track 13 is What Money Taught Us. And 14, we close out the album with one of my favorite songs on the album. I said, yo, can I please stop saying favorite? Because I'm learning that as I'm saying favorite, that basically, you know what I'm saying, a lot of these songs is my favorite songs on the album. So this is a dope album. Let's just put it like that. This is a very nice album. Soft Eyes. Well, Soft Eyes is probably my absolute best song I like on the album because it hits me. It hits the soul. This right here has a smooth, jazzy female voice that's sampled throughout the song. I mean, her voice just rides and floats on this instrumental on this track. On the first verse, the Sky is talking about ladies a little bit, which I love my hip hop female joints. And on the second verse, Sky discusses the premature decisions to almost retire from rap. Basically, Sky was basically discussing and talking about how, you know, a year ago, he was just contemplating on retiring from rap and getting out the game. But, you know, he got talked out of it. And so, you know, Soft Eyes, you know, it's definitely one of them, a nice track to close out the album. Last Call for Alcohol, like he says on the joint. And yeah, I love that song right there. I love that song. This album sonically has a whole New York sound to it. If you've seen Spike Lee films, which of course I know you have, Spike Lee always has jazz influenced backdrops and instrumentation musically in his movies. And this album is basically could be a soundtrack to a Spike Lee movie because if you've never been to Brooklyn before, or if you don't know anything about the Brooklyn, New York culture, this album has Brooklyn on it, sprinkled throughout the album from beginning to end. This album is very, very Brooklyn. And, you know, all you have to do is just watch, you know, some of the most recent videos that Skyzoo has released for this album, where the backdrop, you know, he's in Brooklyn and he talks about Brooklyn heavily. I mean, he's from BK. All the Brilliant Things is an extremely, extremely dope album. Like I previously said at the top in the beginning, it's my favorite album of 2021 so far. I mean, we still got a long stretch and a long way to go. We only halfway through 2021. If we're doing this album as far as ratings, 1 through 5, the old Source magazine album rating, 1 mic being terrible, horrible, get that album out of here, it's just whack, it's terrible. 5 being a hip hop classic. I'm gonna give this album anywhere between a 4.5 mic and a 5 mic album. This album can fall anywhere in between there. You know, I think it's Skyzoo's best album to date. It's even better than the Pete Rock album that he came out with like 2 years ago. I think it's more focused. This album has a theme to it. This album has like a gentrification theme to it. I mean, just look at the album cover and that just describes and just reeks of gentrification. I mean, and depending, I'm not gonna say reeks, but yeah, I mean, depending on how you look at gentrification, for some people it could be a good thing, for some people it could be a bad thing. But that album just basically, you know, is gentrification all in your face with the album cover artwork. So this album is more focused. It has a theme. And previously I thought that the Pete Rock album was his best album. But this one is like I said, it's more focused. The beats, believe it or not, the beats and the production on this album is better than the Pete Rock album. And Pete Rock is like one of my top 5 producers of all time. But the beats on this album is better, a little bit better than the Pete Rock album, which was a dope album within itself. I thought that album was a superior album. But yeah, this album, I'm giving it anywhere between a 4.5 mic album to a 5 mic album, being a hip hop classic. Skyzoo has definitely set the bar, and he has cemented himself, you know, in my top 5 MCs of right now, currently, so far. You know, so there, that's my review. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and check out Skyzoo's album, All the Brilliant Things. Peace.